what is your journey to becoming the CEO of Pinnacle Fertility, and what is your vision for the company?
I would love to share that. So I have had actually quite a varied background. When you go back into my career history, I went to Cornell University for my undergraduate education, and I thought I wanted to be an attorney, go to law school. And so I was studying industrial and labor relations, and I took my first law class there as an undergrad. And frankly, I just didn't like it. I found it constraining to have to find past precedent, and I didn't enjoy the class. And I really needed to, redo sort of my thought process on where I was headed. So I spent a lot of time at Cornell studying economics and statistics so that I could keep my major. And when I left, instead of looking at graduate school right away, I went into business. And I started working for a financial services consulting firm called First Manhattan Consulting Group. And they did consulting projects for banks all over the world, as well as bank mergers and some commercial bank interest rate analysis. And so I worked more on the retail side and worked both in Australia and domestically in the US for 2 years at First Manhattan, and really learned a lot about investing and value creation and consultative services. And then I applied to graduate school after those 2 years and went to Harvard Business School. And I spent 2 years at Harvard. And when I left Harvard, actually, I was engaged and getting married. And my husband was an OBGYN. He was going into OBGYN residency, and he matched at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland. So I moved to Cleveland, and I stayed in consulting, but switched to working for McKinsey out of their Cleveland, Pittsburgh office for 2 years. And as you can imagine, a lot of McKinsey's work in the Midwest is with Midwestern companies. So I did a lot of work in factories that build parts for automakers, working in plastic injection molding companies, those types of things, and fell in love with process improvement and factories and technology. And then my husband's career, actually, he fell in love with fertility. So he did a 4-year residency in OBGYN. And in the third year, you do a 6-week rotation in fertility. And he came home and said, I really like this. This is wonderful. And I said, well, then you should follow your dreams and your passion. I had actually left McKinsey after 2 years. We thought we were going to stay originally before he did this portion of his residency in Cleveland. I had taken a job managing bank branches for National City Bank in downtown Cleveland. And that's the first time I had managed, a couple of hundred people and had a profit loss statement that I was responsible for. And that's when I found my passion. And my passion is managing people and learning what motivates people and how to motivate an organization to succeed. And so with that knowledge, we moved to Atlanta when he matched for his fellowship at Emory in reproductive endocrinology. And I wanted to stay sort of in the operations field. So I got a job working for the CEO of Home Depot. Bob Nardelli was the CEO at that time. And first I started working in the strategy group at Home Depot, working directly with the CEO. And we spent a year, and we actually centralized the merchandising. So at Home Depot, they used to buy from 6 regional offices. So 6 different people bought lumber and toilets and building materials. And that merged into one central group into Atlanta, which was their headquarters. And I helped run that project. At the end of that project, when that finished, I had my choice of a number of different roles, and I decided to become a global product merchant. What makes Home Depot sort of what it is the merchandising departments. And so being a part of the merchandising departments at Home Depot is sort of the lifeblood of that company. So overnight, I became the largest buyer of kitchen cabinets in the world. And I ran $1 billion kitchen cabinet business for Home Depot, which I loved. It had a very section of sort of the technology and process control, because, special order kitchens is all about measurements down to very finite numbers to make sure that the cabinets fit when they get into your new kitchen. There's also a marketing and artistic design element to it. So I really enjoyed that job.
Yeah.
My husband's career, however, when he finished his fellowship, took us to Washington, D.C., Virginia area. And I really loved working at Home Depot. So I stayed with them. But this is long before COVID and being able to work from afar. And we had just centralized the merchandising unit into Atlanta. So I couldn't stay as a merchant if I was moving. So Home Depot had the idea of selling it through Home Depot Supply, all of the stuff that we sell in the Home Depot stores to the government, to the Army, to the Navy. And so I spent some time in Washington, and we hired 2 retired 3-star Army generals, and we had offices in Washington near Congress. And it turns out I did not enjoy Washington or politics. It wasn't as business focused, so I wanted to, sell toilets because they were a better price and a better product and, easy distribution. And Washington wanted to know whose campaign I had funded and who had networked with who, and I just didn't like that part. At the same time, my husband really wanted to start his own clinic, and and had a non-compete and couldn't open up in the DC, Virginia, Maryland area. So we did a study all across the United States and looked to see where population growth had grown faster than specialty medicine practices could keep up with. And we identified a number of key areas, and we ended up opening our clinic in Scottsdale, Arizona in 2005. So we borrowed a lot of money from the government, and we opened, and I really thought I would help him get on his feet and we opened up advanced fertility care with 2 locations, one with a surgery center and a lab and about 7 employees. And I thought I'd go, frankly, get a real job. And this is when I fell in love and found my passion for helping people start their families. And even though I never do anything with the medical side, my husband's the physician who went to med school, not me. I didn't do nursing. I frankly actually am not super interested in being a part of the medical side. I don't like blood. It's not my passion. But the idea that I could be on the business side to help people who need to start their family was very exciting to me. And so I never left. And I partnered with my husband, and we grew advanced fertility care. We had everything from a frozen egg bank to we were looking at surrogacy. We grew to 3 locations and, did very well. We were the high science clinic. We were in all of the centers of excellence programs. And private equity started consolidating the fertility market in the early, teens, like 2010, 20, to 2020, 2010 to 2020. And they started calling advanced fertility care about buying us. And we looked at 3 different deals back in 2018 and 2019. And we ended up selling to In Vitro Sciences in 2019. And frankly, we didn't have a great experience. We didn't have a shared vision of what you could do with the group of fertility clinics. And it was for first, what is now First Fertility In Vitro Sciences rebranded. It was all about just accounting and some shared back-end services. And I saw the need for clinics to sort of work collaboratively together to build best-in-class patient experiences, to use technology to drive a better patient experience and better outcomes, and to merge onto one medical records platform so we could have better data to drive better patient outcomes, and to learn from each other, to tour each other's labs, and to share best-in-class ideas. And that wasn't the vision or where First Fertility was headed, and so it was an uncomfortable place for us to end up. So after 2 years, we decided to part ways, and they sold their interest to what was a new company that was starting, Pinnacle Fertility. Pinnacle had actually started in 2019 as well, with 1 clinic that was really an egg bank and surrogacy agency. But in 2021, they did a number of very strategic acquisitions and were becoming a much bigger player. And they had a different vision. They had the shared vision of go in and make the more difficult operational improvements and operate as one company. And I really resonated with that vision and shared that vision. So I came on in 2019 when they bought Advanced Fertility Care as the chief operating officer, and then later moved into the chief executive officer, the CEO role, and now lead the company. And we now have 17 embryology labs, over 40 locations, 12 or 13 different brands, which we will be unifying under one brand here shortly. And it's really been an exciting, an exciting path.
Yes. Definitely. Thank you so much, Beth, for sharing a very detailed journey of your life and how you ended up at your current CEO role at Pinnacle Fertility. So I'd love to understand more about the company's vision, the company's strategic roles as well, because Pinnacle Fertility has been recognized as one of America's best fertility clinics in 2024. So in your opinion, what do you think were the key factors behind this achievement?
So I think being a mission-driven company is one of the key reasons that Pinnacle is succeeding. Our mission is to fulfill dreams by building families, and we do that with 6 core values that we really live these values. We talk about them. We start every meeting with them. We encourage our employees to be empowered to uphold these values and do what's right for patients. But our values are that patients come first, that we will collaborate as a group of clinics for best-in-class care, that we have integrity above all else, that we remain open to new ideas, that we treat people right, and that is treating our patients right, but also our doctors and our staff and our supports team, and that we have a passion for excellence, that we will never be satisfied with the status quo, that we will always be investing in new technologies and new experiences for our patients to improve patient outcomes. And so having this patient-centric approach has really led us to do things differently. We have converted 12 different clinics onto one standard medical records platform, which is incredibly difficult. Some of our clinics are very large with 300, 400, 500 employees each, and making sure that we get to the one technology platform means that we throw off incredible data in which we can do data analysis by embryologist, by physician, by stem cycle type, to make sure we are using predictive analysis to help our patients create better outcomes. It's also really allowed us to streamline and make sure that we can automate, to make sure we can innovate our technology for a new witnessing system in the lab, to make sure we never make a mistake in a lab, and that we're protecting all of the biologic material that we care for with the utmost security. So I think that our values have really led us to our strategy, which is really fulfilling dreams by building families and doing everything we can to build more families and give increased access to care so that more and more individuals who need access to fertility treatment to start their families have that access, and that cost doesn't stand in the way.
Yes. Speaking about that, so one of the barriers in fertility care is actually the accessibility and affordability. So can you please share more about the strategies or partnerships that Pinnacle is developing to address these cost challenges, and how you are balancing the quality of care with cost effectiveness for the patients themselves?
Yes, that's a wonderful question. We will never at Pinnacle do anything to compromise the quality of care, but we believe firmly that fertility needs to treat and be accessible by more patients. And so that's where the role of technology comes in. So you can use technology to both improve the quality of care, improve the access, and decrease the cost all at the same time. And so that's what we are very proactively trying to do at Pinnacle Fertility. So the first thing that we do at Pinnacle is make sure all of our clinics are contracted with all of the insurance companies. So when patients come to us where they have coverage by their employers or by their plans for insurance, many fertility clinics don't accept insurance, or they only accept insurance in the clinic, but perhaps not in the lab, for instance. So one of the big changes we make as we partner with clinics across the country is to make sure that both the clinic and the lab are contracted with insurance, so that if somebody has insurance, they can utilize that insurance with us in our clinics. So that's a key part. The second thing we do is we move everybody to the same medical record system so that we can standardize our training programs and our billing and coding in the background and our automation in our insurance verifications, so that we can use automation tools, which drives down cost to benefit the patient, so that we're driving down costs but not raising prices to patients. So those are key ways that we make sure that we are increasing access to care for our patients while not hampering but actually improving the quality of the care that we provide.
Yes. On that aspect of collaboration and partnership as well, I'd love to understand more about the strategy that Pinnacle is fostering to foster more collaboration and knowledge sharing among its umbrella of clinics. So what are the strategies that you're using?
Yes, the key strategies are part of our corporate structure. So every clinic that joins our network has one of their doctors appointed to our medical leadership board. And our medical leadership board meets monthly, but they also meet in person two times a year. And all of our medical decisions, whether they be STIM protocols, consent forms, questions about BMI cutoffs, anything to do with the medical operations of Pinnacle, happens through our medical leadership board. And our doctors look at the latest and greatest research, read articles, debate, look at data. We actually have a full-time statistician that pulls all of the data for our medical leadership board in order to help them make good decisions. But they drive all of the medical decisions within the company, and that drives collaboration. So they talk to each other about what are they finding in their clinics, they share the data, they look at the data. And then if we have a clinic that is outperforming in patient outcomes, that clinic will present to the rest of the physicians about what they're doing so that the other physicians can do it as well. And or if we have a clinic that is struggling, they will actually ask physicians from the higher performing clinics to come in and coach and counsel. We also have a lab leadership board. So every clinic also has somebody that sits from the embryology lab on a lab leadership board. They also meet monthly. They also meet in person twice a year. And when they're meeting in person, they meet in collaboration and with the medical leadership board, because many decisions involve both the physicians and the lab leaders together. When we're looking at offsite storage or lab witnessing systems, those are all decisions made both with the medical leadership board and the lab leadership board in partnership. So the lab leadership board does the same thing. They look at standardizing and improving patient outcomes through the lab. So they look at ways to standardize by looking at data to improve patient outcomes from the lab. And so if we have a lab that is struggling with either outcomes or certain subsegments of patients, they can go to other labs that are succeeding with those patients, and they can share data and knowledge and procedures within the lab to improve those. We've seen significant improvements in our underperforming labs, which are now not underperforming. So when we have taken over labs that have not had success rates at or above the national average, we've been able to make improvements to bring them well above national average very quickly by using our lab leadership board and our medical leadership board to improve patient outcomes.
Yes, definitely. It's very interesting to listen to your stories about how the company is fostering continuous learning and knowledge exchange within the network of clinics, and how it does translate to improve patients' care at the end of the day. So I'd love to understand more about the competitive landscape, because we all know that fertility care is a very competitive industry, and hence differentiation is very crucial. So I'd love to understand more from your perspective. What are the core values, unique treatments, or even specialized care model that sets Pinnacle apart from other fertility clinic networks in the US?
I think what sets our network apart is that we are actually collaborating for best-in-class care, and our passion for excellence really drives us. So many of the networks actually, as they go in to look at acquiring clinics, will actually tell clinics that, listen, join our network. And one of the reasons to join our network is that nothing will change. You get to remain in control, which of course all doctors remain in control of medical offices, but that we will ask you to change nothing. But you can't drive collaboration for best-in-class care and learn from each other if you don't actually try and operate as a network. And so I think that's something that really sets Pinnacle apart, is that we do ask our doctors to work with each other and to learn from each other and to travel to each other's clinics and to share their ideas and their secret sauce so that others can benefit.
Yes. Right. So speaking of on the other hand, I'd love to understand more about the several challenges that the company is currently facing. So I can think of a few, like regulatory changes, rising patients' expectation, or even advancement in genetic technologies. So in your opinion, what do you see are the most pressing challenges, and how is the company innovating or adapting to stay ahead of this trend?
So I would tell you that regulatory changes are extremely concerning,
Mm,
and we want to make sure that the laws in the country allow everybody to have access to IVF and to fertility treatments. You know, just yesterday, I think Italy announced that surrogacy will be illegal, uh,
mm,
and remains illegal, and that people who come abroad for surrogacy, you know, will be almost criminals if they
right.
go back to Italy. So you can see that regulatory changes across the world are shaping people's access to care, and so
Mm,
that is one of our concerns, and we work collaboratively with the other networks across the country to make sure that we are getting the message. We're very much a pro-family access to care message out 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 to the United States. So that is one key area. A second key area is actually access to a trained and talented labor force. So there's no question a shortage of reproductive endocrinologists, which are
mm,
critical to the success. There's a shortage of nurses with experience in fertility. There's a shortage of embryologists who work in our lab, and so we find that to be critical to our success. And so we spend a lot of time developing, you know, world-class training programs to you know, attract and recruit fellows, you know, REI fellows that are just finishing their fellowship program to join us, to
mm,
train OBGYNs to extend their knowledge and to be able to help us in our fertility clinics through their education and background. And we have a embryology training school. We also have advanced programs and trainings for APPs, for advanced practice providers, whether that be physician assistants or nurse practitioners. And then we
mm.
have training programs for our nursing and navigator, non-nurse navigator teams. So we find actually a shortage of talented labor to be one of the key strategic issues facing our industry as well as we grow. Because as you want to give more access to care, obviously you want to treat more patients, and to do that, you need a larger team.
Yes, definitely. So speaking about growth, as Pinnacle Fertility looks towards the future strategy and growth, so what factors are driving your expansion strategies? Are there any particular regions, services, or patient demographics that you are focusing on?
Yes, so we are very focused on expanding our geographic reach. So we at Pinnacle have a national presence with a strong presence on the West Coast, the Northwest, Seattle, Oregon, and then obviously Southern California. Then we have a strong presence in Arizona, in the Midwest, just beginning to enter New England and sort of the Southeast. So when we look at our acquisition and our de novo growth strategy, we certainly look at new markets and new geographies that we can enter. We also look at our ancillary services business and expanding our ancillary services businesses and expanding our egg bank and surrogacy agencies. So those are the types of things that we consider as we look at growth.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. So I just have one more question, and it's more on the advice side, right? So we all know that fertility journey can be overwhelming. So for individuals or couples just beginning their fertility journey, so what resources, support systems, or educational initiatives does Pinnacle provide to guide them through the emotional, medical, as well as financial aspect of this journey?
So I think Pinnacle has a unique model that every patient that comes to one of our clinics gets given a personal navigator to see them through their journey. And we allow our patients and actually encourage our patients to text their navigator with questions. And we will proactively text our patients Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week during normal working hours. So it's concierge level care to be proactive. And we have a full breadth of patient education videos and knowledge base and incredibly talented team members that help our patients on the journey. And what we find is when we can give our patients information in advance and help pre-think their journey to take the stress points away, that we improve the patient experience and we reduce the mental health strain that happens during the fertility journey. We also have in-house mental health experts for our patients when they choose to seek out that care that we feel is critically important. And these mental health providers are experts in the fertility journey and the mental health strain that comes when you are struggling to start a family.
Yes. Right. Thank you so much, Beth, for sharing all these very helpful information. Through your very thoughtful responses, I can understand more about your journey as well as Pinnacle's commitment to excellence in patient care, innovative treatments, as well as accessibility. So I wish you all the best to continue the company's mission in helping individuals and couples to achieve their dreams of building a family. Yeah.
Well, thank you for spending time with me today.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Yes, bye-bye. Thank you.